Okay, I got a story for you. I went after my very first job in San Francisco. I don't mean my very first job. My first stop motion job. I went on a road trip with the woman that I would later get married to, Cecilia. And she and I drove down through the Sonora Desert, and we went to a little place called Five Coves, Cinco Coves, like, I don't know, pronounce it in Spanish. It was a little ranch. It was on the mainland side, in the Sonora Desert, mainland side of Baja, California. It was right off of the inlet, the Baja California body of water. And it's a warm inlet of water where apparently whales go and mate, or maybe they give birth to their little young. But in the area of Five Coves, it was a ranch, and you could drive on the ranch down a little dirt road that wound through some beautiful ranch lands to a small little cove. Actually, there were apparently 5 coves. I only really explored sort of 2 or 3 of them. And it was just this like little beach. And me and Cecilia, we pitched a tent. And I brought some fishing gear and some food. I brought a 16mm Bolex. I shot some time lapse. We caught a couple fish. Made our own fish tacos. It was hot. There was barely any shade. We swam. We had the whole place to ourselves. It was this little cove, this little beautiful, I wouldn't say romantic only because it was so bloody hot. It was kind of rocky. There wasn't a lot of shade. It was a little challenging, but we had a great time. We were just all like sun bleached and having an adventure, you know. Cecilia liked to swim. I like to swim. And we just, you know, we read our little books. And I, brought my sketchbook, and I was like drawing what I saw in nature. Anyway, we've had this adventure, but we wanted to go into town and do something different. We wanted to continue our road trip. We sort of like, it's like, okay, we saw that, did that. We roughed it for a little while. Let's go into town. Let's maybe take you could drive your car onto a boat, and it would shuttle you across to the other side, up to the Baja Peninsula, from the mainland side to the Baja Peninsula side. So that was our goal. And so we packed up all our stuff, and we started driving out of this really pretty area. And lo and behold, we almost ran into this creature that ran across our path. And I looked at Cecilia, I was like, what the fuck was that? And she looked at me, and she was like, I don't know, that was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. It had the body of an antelope. It had the body of a little tiny deer, like a delicate little deer with a hooves and long, thin legs. And then it had sort of a deer's body. But it was a lighter weight deer, so it didn't have all of the muscle definition and, bone structure of a deer. It had more of like the body of a rabbit almost, and a long neck and the head of a jackrabbit with long jackrabbit ears. And it was that, I'm colorblind, but I think it was like that kind of tan, like mousy brown gray color. And it had a little white tuft of a tail like you would see on a deer or a bunny rabbit, a little cottontail. But it was a deer's body with a jackrabbit head on this tall, kind of long, slender neck. And it loped by our car. It was almost a little gallop. And it's hot. Sonora Desert in the summertime is hot. Really hot. And this thing, it wasn't running terribly fast, so I had to screech on the brakes because I think it just wanted our attention. It was so magic. And I looked at Cecilia, I was like, well, wait a minute, what did you see? And she described to me what she saw, because it disappeared. I mean, it like ran across her path and it went over this little ridge and it just disappeared. And when she described it to me, I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what I saw. And so I drew what I thought it looked like, and she was like, oh yeah, but the tail was a little more like this and the legs were like that. And by the end, we had this pretty tasty little drawing. It's very, detailed, specific drawing of what we saw. And we were totally in agreement. Total consensus agreement. We were just like, yep, that's what we saw. And you know the tales of the jackalope, right? Now the jackalope is supposed to be a rabbit with horns. That's what the tall tales that people in bars will have. It's like a taxidermy joke animal. But I think all of that talk is actually smokescreen to hide the fact that there really is a creature in the Sonora Desert called the jackalope that doesn't look like a jackrabbit with antelope horns. It looks precisely like what we saw. It was mythological, magical, fantastic character. And I feel very blessed and lucky to have seen it. Cecilia, I think, also was just like, wow, what a special moment. We were both, I think, enchanted by the experience. So anyway, we drove out of there, and it's the kind of creature that I think I should probably make a film about. I should probably make a film about that experience because it was so special. Almost like an Attenborough documentary, like the Bunnylope. I don't know, Bunnylope. That's what I started calling it. That was my nickname, Bunnylope. Anyway, then we drove south, and it was just so nice being in Mexico. It's so nice to be in Mexico. God. I mean, I had many little fucking meltdowns. I'm no picnic to travel with because I'm high strung. And that was back when I was drinking. We took the shuttle or whatever across the drink to the Baja side. peninsula side, and we came to this little town called Mulahay. And Mulahay is special because it's... Oh, wait a minute. Maybe Mulahay is where you get the boat to go across. I thought it was... Anyway, so we come into this town. I thought it was Mulahay. And it's an oasis town. So springing out of the desert is this town with all this lush vegetation. It's just so weird. It's just this one little pocket of lush vegetation. All the migratory birds would nest there. It just had this almost like jungle flavor to it. But the outlying areas were like super arid and deserty. And in this town was a bunch of caves. And we got a tour of the caves. And part of the tour, you had to submerge yourself on this big giant hike and wade through these pools of water that were like, imagine like the rock of the mountains, like big kind of granite rock being carved by who knows what. But these carved pools of granite, and just those pools were like full of water. So the guide had these like flotation, like inflatable flotation rafts that, you know, when we would get to a section like that, we would have to put our backpacks onto the little raft, and we would just completely wade through it. And it was a relief because it was so hot. It was, you know, Sonora Desert in this, or Baja Desert in the summer. You know, it was a hot. So, you know, you got a chance to just like take a cool bath in this little canyon creek type vibe. And then we got to the destination, and there were like, you know, big spiders and these cave dwelling. So then we looked into some of these caves, and apparently a race of giants lived in these caves. And inside the caves were cave paintings depicting sort of like the life of these giant humanoids that, you know, lived in these sort of like cave dwellings. And it was just so cool to enter these beautiful little caves that were sort of off of this like pool of, you know, like this, you know, lazy series of pools that were carved into this rock. It was just gorgeous. I shot a lot of 16 millimeter footage in that area. I don't know where it all is, but it was a fun trip. We popped a lot of tires on that trip. We, at one point, we had Uzis aimed at us. You know, getting onto the boat with our car. Some young, like, military guys pointed these fucking Uzis at us, like, get out of the car, do this, do that, just bossing us around. I felt so fucking threatened by just these cocksure, you know, scruffy, you know, 18-year-old pimply face cadets or whatever they were. And it just felt like almost like a cartel vibe, like just like they could at any minute just be like, all right, we're gonna do whatever the fuck we want to do. We were playing it very cool. But we got through that, and then we pitched a tent in the town of Mulahay, and Cecilia and I went, and we We were drinking a lot of tequila on this trip. We found, because like every little town you come to, every little ranch made their own tequila. And it's not like tequila you buy here that just tastes like rubbing alcohol. The tequila down there is almost like milky. It's a little bit more unrefined. Which is really nice because it just has this almost like therapeutic. I thought of it as like a waxy cactus effect, and you could drink an awful lot of it and never get a hangover. It was amazing. At one point I drank she and I drank a whole bottle one night, and we got so wasted. And the next day, you wake up sweaty in your tent, because as soon as the sun crests the horizon, you're like baking. And I thought, I'm going to have the worst hangover. But it was fine. I was a little tired, but I was fine. It's like magical there. And the tour guide kept talking about Montezuma's gold. Cortez's gold. So apparently, the Spaniards stole a lot of gold from the Indians, the natives, the Mayans, the Aztecs. And they went up and down Central America, stealing all the gold they could get. And they shipped as much of it as they could back to Spain. But whatever they couldn't ship, they buried and they hid. And the people of Mulahay say that it's kind of common to find buried Cortez gold. And if you mention it to anybody, if you mention it to the local government, they confiscate the gold and they take it to government seizes it for whatever purpose, like historical purposes, like it's their booty, their loot. So when people find it, they keep it really hush hush, and the only way to make money off of what you find is to sell it on the black market. And apparently there's a handful of Las Vegas casino owners that are big into Cortez gold. I imagine it's probably, what's that casino that's kind of themed? Like, I don't know, like Caribbean themed or pirate themed. Isn't there like a pirate themed casino? I don't know. But, can you imagine, like these casino owners probably have these underground layers with actual, native gold. And I was like, how do you find, like, do people just find it, like, by just digging randomly? And he's like, no. The people that I've heard of that find it, the guy said, they have visions, and they see rainbows, this whole idea of a rainbow leading to a pot of gold. They have these visions where they see light and color, like auras and stuff, and that's how they know where to dig for the gold. They have a vision. It's like this. Can you imagine? And then you just have to like smuggle it into the hands of just the black market, and then you go. I mean, just to kind of get money for what you find must be so dangerous. Just dealing with gangsters at that point. It's not like you put it on Sotheby's and hope for the best Here. Any bid for this golden bowl? Oh, we're gonna start the bid at $25 million. $25 million at once. 25 won. No, it's like, fuck all that. I know a dude who knows a dude. He'll buy. You got something to sell. Take a picture of it. Put your picture anonymously into an envelope. There's going to be a meet underneath a bridge. And who knows if everybody's going to survive. It's like Touch of Evil. You know, Orson Welles like hoofing around under that bridge. It's going to be like that. It's such a good movie. Oh my God. I love the whole surveillance aspect of that. It's so good. God, I want to see that again. And I don't want to see the new cut. I want to see the original cut of that. Because, you know, Walter Murch came back in with all of Orson Welles' notes and started kind of monkeying around with it. I think it's good to do a little side-by-side comparison because I think Orson was always bummed that the studios just played with his cut of that movie. And he must have filled voluminous notebooks with his regrets. But so to honor his, wishes, they got the world's best editor, Walter Murch, to do a pass. And that's kind of like the new director's cut. What a great film, though. God. And Orson Welles is such a great actor. He's so good in that. He's so slimy and greasy and wheezy and dirty and that's like a fat suit. That's before he was even big and fat like that. I mean, towards the end of his career, he could have played that character for reals. But the way he did it, like with the cigar in his mouth all the time, it's beautiful. His relationship with the gypsy lady or whatever. So many good things in that film. I don't love Charlton Heston as the Mexican. That's a bit much to swallow. But he pulled it off. The opening shot. I guess that's a famous shot, right? Long shot of the ticking time bomb in the trunk. Going through the town. Just on and on and on. You know what's in that trunk. You know the inevitability of it. There's a lot of tension building there. Harry Lime. Is that it? Harry Lime? I think it is. What is a Harry Lime? Just all these names. I love when people hide meaningful things and names. It's like you always have a little lime with your tequila. Hair of the dog, Harry Lime.